Hello students, welcome to the class. In the last class we discussed about what is aggregate turnover under GST and who is casual taxable person under GST. In this session we are going to discuss about GST Council. Before implementation of GST, some taxes are in the control of state and some taxes are in the control of central government. But after implementation of GST, so many indirect taxes are subsumed with GST, and the control and what you call the levying power is under the particular body. So that body is nothing but GST Council. At the time of implementation of GST, state GST and central GST, in addition to that one IGST, integrated goods and services tax. At the time of implementation of these three types of GST, there should be a cooperation from different states in our country. For that reason, each state government should have their own voting rights for the purpose of any recommendation related to GST. For that reason, there should be a establishment of one council. That council is called as GST Council. So in this session, we are going to discuss about what is GST Council and who are all there in GST Council, and what are the powers and functions of GST Council, and how GST Council will work in connection with implementation of GST as well as working of GST. So let us discuss about what is GST Council actually. So GST Council is the governing body of GST. It's looking after all the decision making things, and they are taking a key decision making. So that's what is called as a decision making body, and it was came into effect from 12th September 2016. Before implementation of GST, there were so many meetings were conducted under the name of GST Council for the purpose of implementation of GST, when GST has to be implemented and how GST has to be implemented, in which manner GST has to be implemented. All the things are discussed in GST Council meetings. What is the structure of GST Council? So at the time of implementation of GST, there are so many conflicts and so many confusions, both in the hands of what you call traders or accountant or chartered accountant, and of course some government officials also. It's very simple. GST Council is consisting of various members under one chairperson. In our country, the GST Council is consisting of a chairperson. That chairperson is always a Union Finance Minister. As of now, Varun Jaitley will be the chairperson of GST Council. In addition to the Finance Minister of the central government, state representatives are there as well as central government representatives are there. So, Union Minister of State for Finance and Revenue, it is under central representative. Minister of Finance or any other minister nominated by each state government, they are representing the state government. So, here there will be some minimum quorum and they are having their own voting rights. So, here for the purpose of taking any decision, there should be attendance of minimum 50%. Say for example, around 300 members are there in a particular GST Council meeting. So, for the purpose of taking any decision, minimum 150 members should be there in this example. In the sense, 50% members quorum should be required, that is minimum. And the voting rights in the hands of state ministers and central ministers. In the hands of the central minister, they are having 1/3 voting power. So, the central minister is the Union Minister of State for Finance or Revenue, and in the hands of the state ministers, they are having 2/3 voting power. So, that is any ministers which is nominated by state government or any other revenue minister of state, they are having their voting right. So, 1/3 is in the hands of central ministers, 2/3 is in the hands of the state ministers. Minimum 50% quorum should be required. But for the purpose of acceptance of any decisions in that particular GST Council meeting, there should be a 3/4 members of the council. So, each decision must have approval of 3/4 members of the council, that is 75% is required. It is on the basis of voting rights, and for the purpose of taking any decisions, the central government and the state government may not do individually any recommendations, any changes in GST is concerned. There should be a majority. That majority is on the basis of voting rights of each state ministers as well as central ministers who are the members in the GST Council under the chairperson of Finance Minister of our central government on the basis of 75% of the majority. That is about structure and administration of GST Council in our country. Powers and functions. So many powers and functions are there in the hands of the members of GST Council, of course the chairperson of GST Council. It is not static. The powers and functions is depending upon in each GST Council meetings. As of now, around 33 GST Council meetings were conducted. In each GST Council, they are discussing about the problem, they are discussing about any other challenges at the time of implementation, they are discussing about the rate of GST on various products, they are discussing about collection of GST and techniques of collection of GST, and they are looking after what exactly GST is facing the problem, and that is either it may be in the hand of any trader or customer or of course the government. So some powers and functions in the hands of the GST councils are decision taken on the basis of majority. As I said earlier, any decision has to be taken on the basis of majority, minimum 75% is required among the members. And to bring the goods and services into GST bracket, it is in the hands of the GST council members. If they are agreed, they can implement a new product into GST council. Say for example, as of now, petroleum product is not in the bracket of GST, but if GST council members are agreed to implement GST and petroleum, it's possible. It is only on the basis of majority, that is different thing. And sometimes some goods are in GST bracket, but on the basis of decision taken by the GST council members, that will be withdrawn. Any product already is in GST bracket, they will be removed from GST. That may be the exempted GST. Of course, some products may allow some GST exemption, that is on the basis of GST council majority, and the rate of GST will be changed on the basis of the decisions in the GST council meeting. Say for example, they may reduce the GST rate from 18% to 12%. So reducing the rate from 18% to 12%, they may rise the GST rate from 5% to 12%, 28%. It is on the basis of the demand in a respective GST council meeting. And in addition to that one, any matter relating to GST, either it may be administration point of view, either it may be collection point of view, either it may be any other provisions in connection with GST, that will be discussed in GST council meetings, and GST council is having the power to implement such kind of recommendations. And some other recommendations majorly which is already having the practice, they are discussing about what will be the place of supply for GST and changing the threshold limit. Say for example, as of now registration threshold limit is 20 lakh and 10 lakh in the case of the special category states. That may be changed on the basis of GST council meeting. That is also a recommendations of GST. And the computation of GST calculation in a particular manner and the rate of GST will be changed on the basis of GST council meeting, that may be recommended by GST council. And special rates arising in addition to the existing, say for example, very recently there is a flood in Kerala. In Kerala government, they are implemented some additional GST for relief from such kind of flood. That will be recommended by GST council meetings under the GST council meetings. And special rate will be charged in certain situations and in certain states. And sometimes some goods will be considered as a luxurious goods. Along with the basic GST like 28% or 18%, they may add some cessors. It is on the basis of GST council recommendations. Then what is GST council meeting? So it is also the power of GST council. The GST council may call the meetings under the chairmanship of finance minister. Sometimes it will be one-to-one meeting, otherwise sometimes it may be the video conference meeting will be conducted. But GST council meeting is required for the purpose of discussion about what happened as of now in connection with GST is concerned. Either any requirements are there for the purpose of changing in the current GST practices, or is any demand from the market, is any demand from the trader point of view, it is any demand from their specific department, they are going to discuss in a particular GST council meeting. So it is in the hands of the state ministers as well as the central government ministers in connection with the taking special decisions in a particular GST council meetings. In addition to that one, drafting GST rules on registration, payment, valuation, input tax credit, composition scheme adoption, filing of GST return, refund and raising the invoice under GST, and any other provisions will be discussed in GST council meeting. So, this is about GST Council meetings. Students, in this session we discussed about what is GST Council and who will become the member of the GST Council and who is the chairperson of the GST Council, and consisting of GST Council and structure of GST Council, powers and functions of GST Council. In addition to that one, what is GST Council meetings? We discussed all these points. Thank you.